Kelly Bowman, and this is my project risk plan for construction project management. And here you're going to see the executive summary. It's going to give you a breakdown about the risk management bullet points and the point to putting together a risk management plan in project management, some of the benefits that you're going to have, some of the risks that you are taking if you don't, and disadvantages that you're going to fall upon if you don't. You can take a look here and see that integrating it is basically a must-have instead of more of an option. Alright, you can take a quick peek at the table of contents here. You just pass through our executive summary, and then we're going to go through some of the industry organization that we went over in the week 4 learning activity, and go over the organization's marketplace and the disadvantages of not having a risk management plan, and some of the identifications and everything. Alright, here the organizational overview. I did the Harper Construction Company. It's very integrated and has numerous stakeholders, as it does mention right here, and that obviously makes them very susceptible to a lot of different risks, especially since they're working on a lot of different plans and a lot of different construction projects all going at once. And some of the threats are diverse, general and economic legislative alterations, and throughout different projects and everything, and then that's pretty difficult for this one. And then with a strict project, sorry, that's my cat trying to make an entrance. And then over here we're going to go over our role in Harper Clayton Construction and some of their core business, about how we tie into that, and we succeed in project planning and risk management by helping to mitigate the risks and identify them, and making sure we excel in handling the intricate tasks that all kind of tie together where others might not see it. Alright, and in the marketplace, you can see here that they do very much so prioritize their I'm so sorry, my mind is blanking. They prioritize their reputation and their image and everything, and they emphasize the planning process of all of their projects, and really try to commit to tailoring their products and their goals and their processes to each client. Alright, and then part here, there's going to be 2 parts to this. You're going to have the disadvantages of not having a risk management plan. Obviously, you can have project delays, that's a big one. Project failure, that's a major risk that anyone would hate to face. And then in the absence of that system, you're going to miss the opportunities to spot those problems early on, and prevent any sort of loss of product, loss of control of your budget, and so on. So that's just part 1 for this one. And then part 2, obviously inaccurate cost estimates and then fluctuating material prices can obviously play into that. That's something that you need to make sure you plan for, and use risk management to be able to kind of give yourself a balanced budget and cost estimate for any project that you're working on, especially in Harper Clayton Construction. where a lot of that is due and probably liable to change day to day. And so without these in place, then they're setting themselves up for failure, they're setting themselves up for financial losses, and they're setting themselves up for compromising their image and their reputation for being able to do things on time, on budget, and according to their plan. Alright, risk identification and assessment. By employing those different techniques that we've been learning about identifying risk and managing risk and assessing risk using different scoring systems on the risks that you do identify to categorize whether they're high risk, low risk, medium risk, and find out in which order do you need to prioritize those. That's really big in making sure you assess the risk and obviously evaluating the likelihood and the impact of each of those events. So if one of them's highly likely it's going to happen, what's the impact that's going to have if it does happen? What's going to happen to that project? Will it sway it way off budget? Will it kind of move it a little bit? Versus this one, not very likely going to happen, but if it does happen, this one's going to swing that project way off course, probably end up in failure. These are the things that risk assessment and identification really help you figure out. And it's a crucial step in risk management that you can't skip. Alright, risk management processes and the project life cycle, my bad. So stages here, you can see the project initiation. Obviously that's where you're going to get the project. You're going to get it from whatever companies that Harper Clayton Construction is going to be moving on with. And then you're going to be getting all of the brainstorming stages and then talking to the stakeholders, figuring out what are the goals and plans for that project. And then the project planning, you're going to be looking at your goals, looking at what you have to do, looking at what you have to hit. And then this is also where you're going to be putting together your mitigation and contingency plans and identification of risk, ownership, and responsibilities. That's kind of going in hand with the identification and assessment as well, but just like the prior planning to that. And then project implementation, you're going to be regularly monitoring the day-to-day activities and even thinking ahead to the day before or the next day and then the week after that, and making sure that you are constantly proactively implementing those risk strategies and making sure that you're thinking through all possible scenarios. Monitoring and control, you're going to be monitoring all of those metrics that you're going to be needing to keep an eye on, your budget, the timeline, how each thing is going to be affected, and making sure that all of those are on time to meet the project timeline and budget. And then project closure, just an integrated overview of how everything went, what we could have done better, best practice for the future, and then kind of implementing that risk even a step further and saying, hey, is there anything that we didn't identify that we could have identified, and moving on from there to be able to create a more stable risk what's the word that I'm looking for? Risk projected. I don't know. Whatever the word is that I'm looking for, you need to be risk monitoring. No, that's not the word I'm looking for. You get it. Making sure that we're watching out for risks so that way we are better prepared for the future and better project planners and project managers. The risk management process right here and who should be involved. Obviously there's a project manager who's going to be in charge of the entire project. The estimators who are going to be helping with the budget, keeping things on track, and then providing insight on the historical data that might be going along with that project and the materials along with that project. And then there's the site superintendents, depending on the level of the project and everything. and then senior management, obviously, and then subcontractors and health and safety officers, which is really important for risk management, and legal counsel if there is anything that does go awry, having them on obviously as part of risk management as well. Alright, summary here, you can see everything that we've talked about here, talking about the overview of Harper and Clayton Construction Companies, talking about the disadvantages if we do not implement risk management strategies, and learn how to identify and assess those risks, and then making sure that we understand the components that all go into risk management and into a project plan as well. Alright, and right there you can look at the sources on all of that information, and if this is a little short, that's because it's hard to take a 5-10 page paper and turn it into a PowerPoint. But I do appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.